Welcome back to Law and Crime. We're going to continue talking about Georgia versus Tiffany Moss, the mother accused of murdering, stepmother, excuse me, of murdering the 10-year-old child, Imani Moss. Now, we are very fortunate. They're on a lunch break during court right now, but our own host, Vincent Hill, has been there covering this trial. Vincent, what do you have to share with us during this lunch break?
Well, Ashley, today was day 2 of testimony in the Tiffany Moss case. We heard testimony from Amon Moss, the father of Imani Moss, and of course, the husband of Tiffany Moss. Now, during that testimony, Ashley, he was very matter of fact. He was very concise with this testimony. He talked about moving Imani's body from her bedroom into the computer room of the apartment. He talked about how the body sat in the house for several days, I believe 3 days at that point. He said at one point he wanted to call 911 because he was feeling guilty, but it was actually Tiffany Moss who told him no, not to do that. And the reason she said that, Ashley, is because she was actually on probation from the incident in 2010 in which she had beat Imani and there were bruises left and she was arrested for that. So she said, if we do that, we're going to lose our kids. I'm going to jail, so let's not do that. Then she referred Ashley to something very disturbing, one of the shows that she typically watches. Let's listen to what Tiffany Moss had to say according to Amon Moss.
What did you do after you got home from your second job?
Every time I got from the second job, I'd go back in where I moved in the computer room, and I'd go in there, and I would go in there with the body.
And what were you doing?
I was in there grieving.
During that day, did you have any conversations with Tiffany about what y'all needed to do? I mean, you got a dead body of a child in your apartment. I mean, what are you all going to do?
That happened the day of, the day of when she said, we can't do this, we got to hide it. We got to hide it and be on some criminal mind type stuff.
Did Tiffany like to watch real court TV shows and crime shows?
Crime shows.
And so she actually said to you that we have to be on our criminal mind?
Yes.
So we're back the day after Imani died. You came home from your second job. You spent time with her in the computer room. Did you sleep that night?
Not really.
And did you get up the next morning
and go back to work? Yes, I did.
That's right, Ashley. And Amon went on to say it was kind of like a cracking sound when he was describing him and Tiffany trying to move Imani's body into the trash bag. Now, you can see there during that clip that the grandmother, Robin Moss, of course, Amon Moss' mother, was in the courtroom. Now, I was seated just feet away from her, and she was really in tears most of this testimony. You can see there on your screen. She was in tears as she listened to her son describe the night that her granddaughter died and the things that they did after that, leading up to burning her body, Ashley. So it was a very emotional day for Robin Moss inside that courtroom.
Listen, Vincent, as a juvenile court judge, I hear these types of cases all day when I'm on the bench, but it is nothing easy to hear. Nobody should have to hear it. Tell me, how are the jurors reacting? What are you seeing come out of them during this really awful testimony to have to listen to?
Yeah, so the jury, they were very attentive during this testimony. Of course, they, at a few points, there were some jurors that put their heads down and shook their heads listening to this testimony, as many people did inside that courtroom. Again, you saw Robin Moss there with her head down during most of that testimony. Now, it's interesting to note that Tiffany Moss just had this attentive but very distinguished stare at her husband as he was testifying for the state. Now, keep in mind, they are still married in this case, and of course, he's already pled guilty to felony murder of his daughter. He's serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And of course, Ashley, just like all the other witnesses for this case, Tiffany Moss did not object to any question the state asked her husband, nor did she cross-examine her husband in this case.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little more. So one of the things I've noted throughout this trial, and I've been watching intently, the defendant, there's a picture of her. That's how she appears most of the time. She doesn't show any remorse, any tears, any acting out. Is there anything that we've not seen on camera where she acts any different than that?
No, absolutely not, Ashley. I mean, I've been in the courtroom daily. I came here Friday while jury selection was still going on. And when she walked into that courtroom, what you see on that screen is what you get from Tiffany Moss. She has not changed from that. Now, earlier this morning, before the jury was called in, there was some talk about from her legal counsel about her mental capacity. Of course, one of the documents that was on the media talked about some brain damage that she may have suffered. But the judge said, hey, she's been smiling. She's been cordial with everyone. She seems competent to know what she's doing, so we're going to move forward with this trial at this time.
And you know, the worst part about Amon's testimony today, for me personally, and again, I hear lots of these kinds of cases, is to think that he did nothing. By doing that, he supported her actions, the stepmother's actions she's accused of. He supported the beating, the torture, the killing of this very young, beautiful 10-year-old by doing nothing. How did you all feel watching this firsthand to hear him testify, oh, she wasn't doing well, she couldn't talk, she had scars on her stomach, she couldn't get out of bed to go to the bathroom, yet he admits he did nothing.
Yeah, that's right, Ashley. And, you know, for me personally, I got sick to my stomach as a human and as a father. Keep in mind, 2 days ago, Amani would have turned 16 years old. And even in the hallway after that testimony, I was talking to one of the local reporters here, and we both picked up on the same thing, that there were a few times, actually, during that testimony that he referred to his daughter as the thing or it. And then he said the body a few times, but there were several times during his testimony where he referred to his daughter, who would have been 16 years old today, as the thing and it. I put the thing in the truck. I moved it from her bedroom to the computer room. So it was very sickening for everybody inside that courtroom, especially the grandmother.
Yeah, and I promise you, in my opinion, he knew about all the prior instances of anything that stepmother did or didn't do for Amani. Really heartbreaking. Now, one more thing I have to ask you, and that is this. So I worked in Gwinnett County, where this trial is, at that courthouse years ago when I was in law school. And it, at that time, and still, is a very professional place to practice. That district attorney, Danny Porter, who's trying the case, he is one that has an excellent reputation for his trial skills, for ensuring that he does not overcharge people. He does not charge unless he has the evidence to back it up. How have you felt watching this trial in terms of how the prosecution is doing presenting the evidence?
Well, I think he's doing a great job. And if you think back to yesterday during opening statements, he pretty much assured the jury that he could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Tiffany Moss is guilty on all counts. Now, keep in mind, too, she hasn't objected. She hasn't cross-examined. So essentially, she's doing the work for him as well, because, you know, in a typical trial, you would have a defense attorney who would object, who would cross-examine, but we're not seeing that here. So she's not putting up a defense. Yeah, I thought personally that, you know, when her husband got on the stand this morning and the way she was looking at him very intently, that she would cross-examine him, but she didn't do that. So I think the prosecution is doing a great job, and she's actually helping in that job by not really defending herself.
All right, so I know we're going to be wrapping up, but tell me this, two things. Number one, what's next? How long do we anticipate the trial to last? And number two, any last thoughts from you?
I do believe the CSI tech that was on the stand prior to the break will resume testimony this afternoon. I know there is another witness that is, I believe, in Oregon that they're flying in tonight that will take the stand tomorrow. I'm not sure who that is or what their testimony will be, but according to the prosecutor, he thinks he can wrap his case up by tomorrow, probably early tomorrow afternoon. And we could probably see jury deliberations start at that time. And who knows, Ashley, the way this is going, maybe a verdict will come in before the end of the day tomorrow.
All right. Well, Vincent Hill, always fabulous to have you on. Thank you for your excellent work there at the courthouse following this trial and being able to tell us everything that you're seeing while you're there.
All right, Ashley. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, we'll return to the coverage of that trial. We have to take a short break, but you're going to want to come back on the other side as we continue Tiffany Moss case.